History usually tells stories of kings, wars, and crowns, but behind every throne there is a woman, one whose name is forgotten, whose voice has faded. Hürrem Sultan was one of them. She didn't begin her life as a queen, but as a prisoner, taken from her home, sold at a slave market, locked in a cage. Yet she broke free from that cage and became the most powerful woman in the empire. This isn't a love story, it's a story of survival, intelligence, and courage. Because in the Ottoman palace, love wasn't a feeling, it was a weapon. And Hürrem knew exactly how to wield it. We don't know her real name. Maybe Anastasia, maybe Alexandra Lisovska. She was said to be the daughter of a priest from a small town near modern-day Ukraine. But one day, Crimean Tatars raided her village. The houses burned, children screamed, and she was taken captive. At a tiny age, she was torn from her mother and chained, marched to the slave markets of Kaffa. At that age, you can't save anyone. You can't resist. You just walk. You just fear. But there was something about Hürrem, a spark in her eyes. Her red hair and light-colored eyes drew attention, so she was sent to Istanbul, not to an ordinary home, but to the palace. There she was bought by the Sultan's mother, and her name was changed, Hürrem, meaning the cheerful one. Ironic, isn't it? Because that smile was something she wore to survive. From the outside, the harem looked like a dream. Sparkling jewels, silks, music. But once inside, you understood. It wasn't a school, it was a prison. Girls were taught not freedom, but obedience. How to walk, how to smile, how to look. Everything had rules. Every step of a woman was watched and corrected. And one day, the Valide Sultan chose one girl among hundreds, Hürrem. She would be presented to Sultan Süleyman. Imagine that moment. You are bathed, perfumed, covered in jewels, but your heart races because you know this fortune is really a test. Süleyman was young, newly crowned. He met Hürrem, and he could never let her go again. Because Hürrem wasn't just beautiful, she was clever. She knew poetry, she could talk, and most of all, she understood him. But even love was dangerous in the palace. The higher you rose, the more enemies you gained. Her first enemy was the former favorite, Mahidevran Sultan. One day she lost her temper and attacked Hürrem, clawing at her face. Hürrem, proud as ever, refused to go to the Sultan the next day. She said, "I am spoiled meat now." But those words only drew Süleyman closer. He kept calling for her. And from that moment on, Hürrem wasn't just a concubine. She was the woman he trusted. In time, Hürrem bore a son, Prince Mehmed. Now she had her place. But the rule was clear. Each mother could have only one prince. Still, Hürrem didn't stop. She gave birth to 6 children in total. The palace whispered she used witchcraft. She bewitched the Sultan. But Süleyman never left her. He wrote her poetry. "You are my spring, my moonlight, my greatest treasure." This wasn't just love, it was devotion, and that devotion shattered Ottoman tradition. Then the unthinkable happened. Süleyman freed Hürrem and married her. She became his legal wife, Haseki Sultan, a slave-turned-queen, something no one could believe. But Hürrem didn't use her power only for herself. She built mosques, soup kitchens, and schools. Next to the slave market, she founded a women's hospital, a quiet act of rebellion. She was no longer just a concubine. She was the most powerful woman in Ottoman history. But power always brings enemies. And the greatest danger was Prince Mustafa, Süleyman's eldest son, beloved by the people. For Hürrem's children, he was a deadly threat, because if Mustafa became sultan, her sons would be killed. So Hürrem acted again, using her mind. She targeted Grand Vizier İbrahim Pasha, Mustafa's ally. She whispered doubts into Süleyman's ear, and one night, Ibrahim was strangled, silently, with a silk cord. That was Hürrem's power. To kill without spilling blood, to control without shouting. But nothing lasts forever. In the end, Prince Mustafa too fell out of favor. He came to his father's tent believing he would be forgiven. But he was strangled, right before his father's eyes. Süleyman said nothing. His son was dead and the empire stayed silent. Hürrem's children were now safe, but her heart was broken. In her later years, she grew ill. Süleyman never left her side, and in 1558, Hürrem died. Süleyman mourned her for 8 years. He stopped eating from golden plates, and when he died, he asked to be buried beside her. Today, in the Süleymaniye Mosque, 2 tombs stand side by side. One is the emperor, the other the slave. But now they are equals. Even after her death, her influence lived on. Many women followed the path she opened, Hürrem Sultan, Turhan Hatice Sultan. They all began what we now call the Sultanate of Women. But none were remembered like Hürrem, because she didn't win with a sword, she won with intelligence. Some called her a villain, others a hero, but in truth she was simply a survivor. And sometimes survival is the greatest victory of all. If you visit her tomb today, you can feel the silence. The tiles are inscribed with poetry and prayers, but the real story isn't written here. It lives in her legacy. The story of a woman who, in a world built to erase her, refused to disappear. This is the story of Hürrem Sultan. She began as a slave, but carved her name into history. Because some women are born to be silenced, but choose instead to change history.